Standing by.
Loud and clear.
What's going on, sports fans? This is Jake Waxman.
And Tyler Lavalette.
Coming to you live from the studio here in Waterford with another Friday Roundtable. I'm going to start things off by saying this. Yesterday was a beautiful, beautiful night for baseball if you're both a Tigers fan and a Cubs fan.
That it was. We had 3 of the wild card series went the full 3 games. And it should be known that the Cincinnati Reds got swept by the Los Angeles Dodgers on Wednesday night. They're the only one that didn't go that distance. We had the New York Yankees coming back from being down 1-0 against the Boston Red Sox to beat them. They're moving on to face Toronto. The Dodgers, meanwhile, are facing the Phillies when they won their game. And now we can focus on our games. We'll start off with the Detroit Tigers, who took care of the Cleveland Guardians. The series was a back-and-forth affair. The Tigers won Game 1. The Guardians had an impressive 8th inning to win Game 2 on Wednesday. And heading into yesterday's game, it was close at times. And then a late 6th, 7th inning with some impressive runs helped the Tigers win, including a Dylan Dingler home run. Now, before I play the clip, I should let you know this. Of the 8 teams that were taking part in the wild card, the Tigers, up until yesterday afternoon, were the only one that didn't hit a home run. Well, Dylan Dingler changed that. Roll the clip.
Montrell, Gabriel Arias, Josh Naylor, among others. Here's a well-hit ball to left.
Going.
Dingler way back at the wall, and it is gone.
It gone. It could not have come at a better time for this Detroit Tigers team. Talk about setting the tone for a pivotal Game 3 early.
Who grew up just down the road in Massillon, Ohio.
Yep, and as Sean McDonough mentioned, Dylan was from a nearby suburb, grew up a fan of the Guardians/Indians, and now ironically plays for the Tigers. So who would have thought that would happen? Meanwhile, for good measure, let's also see how the game ended for the Tigers when the Tigers' victory. Roll the other clip.
Full season of comebacks. The Guardians are down to their final strike. Schneemann rolls it down to first. Torkelson will play it himself. And the Detroit Tigers are on to the American League Division Series.
A well-deserved celebration. Also, hats off to the Guardians and the Gretchen Field staff for congratulating the team on the Jumbotron when they took the team photo afterwards. Real classy sportsmanship there. And I just have to say, as someone who watched the game on ABC on Channel 7 yesterday, it was wonderful the fact that that station got to lead off their 6 p.m. newscast with Brad Kelly interviewing Javier Baez and showing fans that made the trip from Detroit to Cleveland, and they got to talk about the win. What a wonderful news story to lead off with.
Well, Detroit, you're off to a great start in October. You've already got a good start to what you hope will be an October to remember, as said by one guy who covered Cleveland baseball.
Yep, that being the legendary Tom Hamilton, recent winner of the 4G Frick Award, and is enshrined in Cooperstown as a result. This unfortunately meant we had to end his team's run, but he's a good guy. He's a good one.
Yep.
No complaints there.
And in part by the hands of a guy who grew up around Cleveland and grew up as a Cleveland Indians fan. How about this? Motown, you got to be feeling the vibes are back. I mean, the Tigers looked fantastic in this series. Of course, Game 2 was a different story. I mean, back and forth series, but this is the Tigers team that I watched all season or paid attention to. Even the games that I went to with Tyler Lavalette, this is the Tigers team I know. They're back. They look like they mean business. They're playing great baseball. And, I mean, here's the thing. They're better than a 6th seed, all right? This is a team that was much better than their seeding would indicate. And the thing is, hey, they just stumbled in the stretch of September. They kind of blew a tire, or so however you want to say, going into sometime or going into the final weeks of the regular season. But you know what? They've made it to the playoffs. They're here, and the Tigers, you know what? The offense is loud enough. Defense making plays, too. Your bullpen looks really, really strong as well. So forget about the fact that the Tigers just barely made the postseason, all right? They mean business now. They will go as far as the chemistry of this team is going to take them. However much they will go as far as that firepower that they have, that desire that they have. They will go as far as their fire will take them. And you know what? Right now, Detroit sports fans, you got to be feeling good about this Tigers team because right now, anything goes.
Absolutely. Anything does go. And hats off to them for ensuring that this happens. Onward to Seattle tomorrow night to end the opening day of the divisional series round. Games 3 and 4 will be held in Comerica Park on, I believe, Tuesday and maybe Wednesday for Game 4 if the Tigers-Mariners series is at best a 1-1 tie.
Absolutely. And if I'm the Detroit Tigers, keep that offensive momentum going. Rain home runs out there in Seattle. They say it rains a lot in Seattle. Let's make it rain home runs in favor of the Tigers, of course. And anyway, and Tyler was talking about the Tigers. Also, can't forget, how about them Cubbies? They are NLDS bound, and they will have a rematch with the Milwaukee Brewers, who stole the division, or who I like to think stole the division from them with a heck of a charge in July. But man, oh man, what a series, though, between the Chicago Cubs and the San Diego Padres. Like the Tigers series, Cubs took Game 1. Mm-hmm. Then the Padres, they won Game 2. And then Game 3, the Cubs were in control all throughout Game 3. It looked like, okay, stars are lining up. Cubs are destined to advance. And then, holy crap, did things just get out of control in the 9th inning. Oh, my God. I thought we were going to blow it. Like, no. We can't blow it now, can we? Thankfully,
nope.
Craig Counsell did a great job adjusting things when things got out of control and the Cubs were able to finish it off. A couple notes I want to make. I mean, here's the big thing. The reason why the Cubs are onto the NLDS, defense. The defense was huge against the Padres. And in Game 3, there were some huge catches. Like, there were guys for the Cubs that were having to really stretch their arms to catch those infield hits. And you know what? The defense stood tall when the Cubs needed to. They were able to make those catches when the Cubs need. And keep in mind, if they don't make those catches, this may have been a different series. The Padres might have been the ones moving on. But in large part because of the Cubs' defense, the Cubs are onto the NLDS.
As they should, and they're going up against the Brewers. That series is just a 90-minute bus ride away from one another. No need to take the plane for that one.
Want to hop aboard the Metro and just go to Milwaukee? It is quite possible, from what I understand, to take a Metro train from Chicago to Milwaukee. Maybe the Cubs want to exercise that option.
They're probably taking charter buses, though.
Probably.
All jokes aside. But, yeah, heck, I'm sure the Yankees and Mets do the same for the Cubs, White Sox, Yankees, Mets, interleague city matchups, so.
Yes, indeed. And a couple things I want to mention, the chaos that was the 9th inning. And I do mean, holy crap, it was chaotic. So let's start with that. There was a controversial call in the 9th. So it involved Alexander Bogaerts, who actually, it looked like he had taken a ball because the Cubs, the pitcher on the mound, Brad Keller, threw really, really low. It hit the turf. And Bogaerts didn't even, swing at it. And the umpire called him out on it.
What?
Yeah, seriously. I wish I would have provided a clip for it. But if you guys go back, and you can see it on the Cubs highlight. The ball hit the ground. It was ball 4. Bogaerts should have been walking. Instead, the umpire called him out.
Oh, man. Error in your favor. But really, that is something ABS would have easily overturned if it was implemented this fall.
And I think is that the thing that's coming in next year,
yes.
if I'm correct? They were talking about something like that.
Yep.
And you know what? Seeing a call like that, especially with a ball that hits the ground but is called a strike, I have a serious question, MLB. Are we sure Angel Hernandez retired? Are we sure about? Or is he? Are we sure he's not still making calls and he's rather disguised as another I mean, because that call, watching that call again, that looked like the type of call Angel Hernandez would have made. I mean, and keep in mind, this is the most hated umpire in MLB history. This is the guy that you could throw a ball all the way like to the right, like far right, and he'd still call it a strike. Oh, man. So that's how bad this call really was. It reminds me of Angel Hernandez, who me and Tyler have talked about, and who all MLB fan bases do not like to talk about.
One of many things that unites all 30 fan bases alongside bad ownership.
Absolutely. Couple final notes I'd like to add. So, guys stepping up to the plate. Michael Busch, who hit that third and final home run, which put the Cubs ahead by 3-0, and eventually it made a huge difference in the game. Nico Horner making some plays, as well as Kyle Tucker, Ian Happ, and you know what? Pete Crow Armstrong doing his thing. Got some critical hits in both Game 2 and Game 3 that made a difference in this series, even if they weren't scoring runs. And before we move on, I gotta talk to a little one-on-one with a guy by the name of Brad Keller, okay? You're doing a good job. All right? You're a capable pitcher. I support you. You're a Chicago Cub. But if I have one piece of advice for you, calm yourself. And I do mean calm yourself. Because Brad Keller had not one, but two instances in the ninth where he threw a wild pitch and it struck the person at bat in the leg, resulting in 2 walks. 2 walks that could have changed the outcome of this series and that would have meant the Padres might have been moving on rather than the Cubs. So, hey, just so you know, Brad, hey, you're not Johnny over here. We're not sweeping the leg, all right? And this ain't Karate Kid. This is the NLDS we're talking about, okay? The NLDS was on the line there. Stay calm and just, okay, you're going to have some pitches that are going to end up in the ground, but, okay, try not to take out any more legs, okay? That's all I ask.
I think that a Cub fan that's just everything a Cub fan would want. It's not much to ask for.
Yeah, that was a 9th inning that I will never ever forget. For right and for wrong reasons. It was just absolute pure chaos. But here we are. Tyler. Both our teams are in the NLDS, and we still got some October baseball. So
there's plenty of that. Yeah.
Boom. And now we're going to shift gears to the ALDS and the NLDS. So Tyler mentioned the matchups. Tigers going into what we know as the Emerald City or the Rainy City. Call it Seattle if you want. So Tigers and Mariners, that's one matchup. And the other AL matchup is the Yankees and the Blue Jays. That's going to be a powerful matchup. Tyler also mentioned Brewers and Cubs. So Cubs making that short trip all the way to Milwaukee to face the Brewers. And then we got Dodgers and Phillies, 2 powerhouse teams going at it.
Yeah, these are some pretty juicy matchups if you're a baseball neutral and you don't have a team to root for now in the playoffs. But really, I'm not too sure if the Tigers could make it all the way to the World Series, but let's just take it one series at a time. Start with Seattle. The thing I'm worried about with the Mariners, the guy they call the big dumper, Cal Raleigh. He is that good of a player for the Mariners, and one huge reason as to why they won the AL West for the first time since 2001. Another good guy to watch out for was trade acquisition Eugenio Suarez from the Diamondbacks. He's looking to be pretty good as well. I feel like I'm going to say it, Mariners are going to win this in 5. Pains me to say it, but if anything, I'm just happy that the Tigers are going to be hosting at least 2 playoff games in Detroit this year.
That's right. So the Tigers, pretty much, regardless of what happens, you fulfilled expectations. You've made the playoffs, albeit it was very close, but you still made it, and that's all that matters. Although I kind of have a bit of Tyler, I've got a lot of confidence in this Tigers team. I think that, you know what, they're back in their groove. They found it against the Guardians, and I think if that momentum can carry over into Seattle, they're going to have a chance in this series. And I think, like you, Tyler, it is going to go to 5 games. Both of these teams, excellent powerful offenses, and of course, bullpens and defenses will be key. I'm feeling Tigers in 5, though.
Ooh.
I'm feeling kind of bold. This whole postseason, in terms of predictions, I'm feeling really, really bold. I think Tyler's team is going to advance in 5 games, though.
Ooh, that's going to be fun. Anyway, let's go on to the AL East battle between the Yankees and Blue Jays. A nice cross-border rivalry at that as well. Yankees, they could have won the AL East, but lost on tiebreakers to Blue Jays, and as a result, Toronto obviously got the best record in the AL. Toronto's just too good of a team for even the Bronx Bombers. They're moving on.
You know what? I concur with Tyler on this one. The Blue Jays, just too much firepower this year. I think they will dispose of the Yankees and will be playing in the ALCS. So I'm going to leave short and sweet Jays to the championship series on the American League side of things.
National League side, let's start out with get the Phillies and Dodgers one out of the way really quickly because reasons. And I feel the Phillies are the home team for a good reason. I know the Dodgers are the defending world champs. They got Ohtani still. Kershaw is about to call it quits at the end of the season. And you got some really important Japanese firepower in Yoshinobu Yamamoto and Roki Sasaki as well. But guys like Castellanos and Harper and Brandon Mars, the Phillies won the NL East and won one of the byes along with the Brewers for a very good reason. I'm saying it's going to be Phillies in 4.
Phillies in 4. You know what? I like that prediction too. I think the Dodgers, as good of a baseball team as they are and pretty much have been in the past, I just am not. This Dodgers team feels a little different compared to the one last year and in years past. I just feel like they're missing something. And I feel like whatever it is they're missing, this Phillies team is going to exploit it. And I think this Phillies team, they are going to be motivated after the disappointment they had in the last playoffs. So I'm thinking the Phillies will take down the Dodgers. And like Tyler, I'm going to go with 4 games. And just going to back up a little bit in terms of Blue Jays and Yankees, I'm going to go with a 4-game series there in favor of the Blue Jays.
Right. Now, last but definitely not least, and what's also going to be, if I'm not mistaken, is going to be starting tomorrow's action.
Oh, yeah.
Cubs and Brewers. A nice, friendly tussle across the Illinois-Wisconsin state line.
Yeah, absolutely. So, a couple things to keep in mind. This Cubs defense, they've been bend but don't break, all right? They were bend but don't break against the Padres. I mentioned there were a few plays that the Padres had at bat that could have gone a different way if not for a couple Cubbies who stretched their arms out like Superman and made those catches and some really insane catches. And so the Brewers' depth, that's something that worries me when it comes to this matchup between them and the Cubs. The Brewers, they are deep. They're poised. They had a great regular season, but they got depth at bat, depth on defense, and also the bullpen. It is a deep bullpen too. So the Cubs are going to they got to figure out a way to limit both both explosive plays on defense and on offense. And you know what? If you're the Cubs, the only other way I think they beat the Brewers, the bats have to be very, very loud. That offense has to be very, very explosive for the Cubs in order for them to pretty much not only possibly to steal a game on the road, but to have a shot to win on the series. So that's something I am looking at with that series. But you know what? With all that being said, there's a couple things on my mind, one of which is, did the Brewers peak too soon? Did they peak too? Because they made quite a rally in the regular season to take the NL Central. But did they use up a lot of what they had in that rally, especially in that month of July, to take control of the NL Central? Have they saved enough in the tank, I wonder? Okay, call it what you want. Say maybe I'm talking a little trash. But, folks, I've got confidence in this Cubs team. I think they've found something. And even with all the craziness that happened in the San Diego series, this Cubs team, there is magic surrounding this Cubs team. And if it comes to games where it's going to be really, really close, like low-scoring games, I've got a lot of confidence in this Cubs team because they are one of the best teams, if not the best team in the MLB in low-score games and winning these low-score games. I'm feeling bold. Cubs in 5.
Wow. Here's the thing you brought some good points about the Cubs and the Brewers. Here's the thing I also worry about the Brewers, not just because you think they peaked early in that July winning streak of theirs. There's just something off about the Brewers when it comes to October. I don't know what it is, but they just don't seem to be able to finish the job in whatever way, shape, or form when they make it into an October run. Losing the Diaz, losing the NLCS, losing the wild card round, losing the wild card game. There's just something off with the Brewers' bad luck. I just don't see it continuing. I see an upset. Cubs in 4.
Ooh, you're even more confident than I am. And that's also to add on to what Tyler said, that's kind of another reason I'm feeling like the Cubs can take this series in 5 games. You look at the Brewers' history. I mean, great regular seasons, but they've only been to 1 World Series in franchise history. And it just seems like even with the great teams that they have, they've just failed to get to the World Series for one reason or another. And, and with the time off, too, there's going to be some rust. Can this Brewers team overcome the rust? Okay, simple question. But can this Brewers team be the one to truly put it all together?
That rust question also comes into factor when you're the Phillies, Dodgers, and Mariners as well, mind you.
That very true. Although I will say with the Phillies' history and
Phillies, Blue Jays, and Mariners. Dodgers one. Yeah, I just misspoke there.
No problem. But and I will say this: the Phillies is a team that I believe can overcome the rust. I mean, they've got, their history speaks for itself, and they've won a World Series in our lifetime, of course. So they've got that experience and that know-how. I feel like, gosh, if Philly wins the World Series, oh gosh, Philadelphia, you'll have the Eagles winning the Super Bowl and the Phillies winning the World Series in the same year. The levels of the loudness from Philadelphia, I wouldn't be able to take it. My head might just explode from that.
Hey, and they're going to be a crucial city in next year's for the World Cup, and of course in being the cradle of liberty for the 250th anniversary of the country.
Oh yeah, they'll be plenty loud, but for good reason though. So anyway, to close off with the Cubs and Brewers, you know what? That's my concern. The Brewers, they've got all the talent. It's just a matter of whether or not they really can do it. And with this Brewers team, like others in the past, hard to tell. And with a Cubs team that has found a rhythm, especially late in the regular season and now into this postseason, they have figured out some things. They could put the Brewers will pose a lot of trouble for the Cubs too, but this Cubs team can be extremely pesky to this Brewers team, and they can put a lot of pressure on this Brewers team that maybe the Brewers might not be ready to handle come this postseason. But we'll see. And if I'm wrong, hey, Brewers fans will eat all the crow in the world if I'm wrong about it. But I'm going with Cubs in 5. I'm feeling confident.
And before we move on, I'm not saying that I don't have faith in the Tigers against the Mariners. It's just guys like Cal on that Mariners team rather worrisome for good reason. That's why I still have the Mariners winning in 5, mind you. We have that divergence there on that one series here, but I have my reasons.
And I can understand why. That's a lot of firepower, too. And if this Tigers defense can step up like it has from time to time, they'll have a chance.
And hey, if they win it, if they somehow go to the ALCS, good for them.
Hoping my Cubs. So you're hoping the Tigers can pull an upset? I'm hoping my Cubs can serve some spoiled beer for the city of Milwaukee or some really bad tasting beer. Anyway, so Tyler, you brought this up just before we came on the show and going into transition. Something about the Michigan Panthers. Did I hear correctly?
Unfortunately, this is not good news.
Uh-oh.
Despite having the really good attendance at Ford Field, and with the possibility of Detroit City FC building a brand new stadium that's planned to open by 28, if all goes going to plan, the Michigan Panthers will be joining San Antonio and the Memphis Showboats in being relocated to new cities for next year as the league shifts to smaller venues instead of playing in the major markets, bigger NFL caliber stadiums.
Oh, doggone it. And like Tyler said, they had a good attendance. It's really a bummer that it's getting closer to this kind of news where they'll be really relocating to a smaller market. I cannot make sense of this when it comes to the direction of the UFL. I mean, the Panthers, they were a good team too, from one of the best.
Yeah, made it to the championship game. But here's one of the things that you have to remember. They weren't top priority for games. And there was even the USFL days, they had to play a game against Philadelphia in Canton because of a concert. And when there was no guarantee that the UFL would have had the championship game in Detroit. And it really showed when we had to play Birmingham because Ford Field getting ready for the Kendrick Lamar concerts. Ain't no way you were going to delay that happening with a mega star like him.
Yeah, I guess it all makes sense now. Having trouble securing a home field for your games is certainly less than ideal.
Yeah, smaller venues are preferred, and not to mention the cost were a bit eating into the profits and what have you for renting.
And I think I remember we talked about something like this. There's a possibility. One of the markets I've heard that came up was, I think, Louisville, which would be an interesting spot for a UFL team, mind you, but at the expense of the Michigan Panthers, I'm not sure I really dig this kind of prospect.
Kid one I'm getting a little uneasy about. Columbus. Now, that's a bad market.
Yeah.
But you're going to get rid of Michigan's team just as Columbus is about to come on board. What if Michigan's team is the one that moved to Columbus? You want to talk about rubbing salt into the wounds from the perspective of Red Wings, Blue Jackets, or Michigan, Ohio State.
I knew you were going to bring that up. I was like, sounds like we're stirring the pot between the Wolverines and the Buckeyes. And a little history lesson for you. So keep in mind, there was a battle for this little strip of land in Ohio that is known today as Toledo. I mean, Ohio eventually got that land, but from that battle between, of course, Michigan got the Upper Peninsula as a consolation prize, but we ended up being like people who live in Michigan and are now referred to these days as Wolverines in large part because of this dispute between the state of Ohio and Michigan over Toledo, of all places.
Yeah, the maps weren't exactly well mapped out back in the early days when Ohio was admitted to as a state. So
yeah,
there was a lot of issues back in those days. I mean, granted, it's long resolved nowadays, and Toledo is very much firmly pseudo part of Michigan when you think about the Mud Hens and Toledo Walleye hockey team.
Yeah.
But regardless, I was hoping to have gone to a Panthers game. That's not happening now. I don't even know what's going to happen in 28 because I don't even know if the stadium is going to be that new stadium in Corktown is going to be ready in time. That just means I won't be supporting the United Football League at all.
I feel not only bad for like the fans of the Michigan Panthers football program, but I feel bad for just the people of Michigan because, around that time, like when the NFL's done and then you got like March Madness is over, we got what we call the sporting off season, and teams like the Michigan Panthers help people get through what we know as the sporting off season. And now that they're probably not going to be around anymore, the sporting off season is going to feel really, really long here in the state of Michigan.
Well, it's long until the Tigers get back.
That's true. I mean, at least the Tigers are good.
Yeah, even still, it's just still not a good look. I get it. And also Memphis and San Antonio had some bad attendance numbers as well at their Canaveral stadiums. But Orlando and Louisville and Columbus, I hope they can do well with their smaller stadiums that they got planned for going forward. I just hope Michigan can get back into it at some point, but
Yeah.
We'll just have to wait and see.
Yep. So do I, Tyler. So do I. And you know what? I guess to wrap this subject up, I feel like it doesn't matter where the UFL moves to or moves, like whether it's a small or big market, they're going to have some problems selling out to the average sports fan, and especially even to NFL fans, because at this point, NFL season's over, and even though, we kind of look forward to the next football season, spring football is a whole lot of a different game compared to the NFL. And honestly, by that point, some of us, I myself included, I'll confess this, we're just footballed out. So for those who are really footballed out are not going to really go to the games. They're going to be looking towards other things like March Madness, and as Tyler mentioned, baseball with the Detroit Tigers. That's kind of one of the problems I think that the UFL faces, no matter where these teams go to. So finding a solution to this, it's going to be no easy matter.
If there is one consolation I can say to the Panthers and thank them for, Jake Bates. He, of all the teams that he could have played for in the NFL as a kicker, he wanted to stay in Detroit, play at Ford Field. He was familiar with the turf there, so that familiarity won out over a place like Green Bay. The Lions really have to thank the Panthers for that.
Yes, indeed. And if anything, and to some degree, these UFL teams, as Tyler mentioned, Jake Bates, they kind of serve as football farms for NFL teams where you could scout out talent on these teams. And if they're good enough to play in the NFL, you could bring them up. You could sign them to a deal. And you know what? With teams on the move, this actually could hurt this potential farm system a lot.
Although when you think about it, the AFC came about because the American Football League played in mainly markets that the NFL did not serve. But I mean that back in the 60s. But still, untapped markets are untapped markets. Now, am I saying the Panthers are going to come back in a few years if Detroit City's new stadium opens up? We'll see.
Hope to see him back, and hopefully in the not-too-distant future.
We'll just have to wait and see.
Yep.
Hate that we have to basically have this last subject be such a downer after all the fun we had the past two subjects, but it's just broke not that long ago, and it's just important to talk about.
All right. Sports fans, I know that subject was really a downer, but I'm going to rescue the show. I'm going to rescue you guys with this week's golden moment in sports. And I found this one. This is a moment from 4 years ago. Imagine you got a track and field meet. You're off to the races. You're leading. You're dominating the race. All of a sudden, you hear cheers, and you realize, wait a minute, it's not for me? Nah, it's for someone else who entered the race late and somehow ran you down at the finish. Take a look at this clip right here. This is a track and field race. Watch in the corner. It's a dog. So we got the lead runner. She's leading by. Look at this dog. This dog runs her down. And it's side by side right at the finish. Oh, she crossed right into her lane. That would be, in most track and field meets, that'd be a DQ. We're going to let it slide, though. But I just got to say, wow. So, we love our doggos, both me and Tyler.
Uh-huh.
And when I saw this last night, I was just like, okay, this is it right here. It's not very often that you get animal occurrences, let alone a dog that enters late into a track and field meet and then runs down everybody, goes from worst to first to win the race.
Of course, obviously, the actual runner who finished first got the actual win, but even still, it's just funny to think about that in hindsight. Not in hindsight, but just funny to think about.
Yep, just absolutely. Everybody was cheering for the dog, but hey, we all know the girl who was leading the race. Don't worry, she got the trophy. She won the race for real. We just like to speak in sarcasm because we love moments like that.
Absolutely.
That was still amazing. That dog started late and ran everybody down and won the race. Of course, crossed into the ladies' lane, so that might be a DQ. Oh, well, what the heck? Who am I? Let it slide.
Come on, it's a dog.
Yeah,
how are they supposed to know to stay in your lane?
By the way, credit to Miles Split and Savage Brick Sports for this video footage, giving credit where credit is due. And to give you guys more background on it, the person who won the race, Gracie Laney is her name, and the high school that she was representing was Logan High School in Utah. So I want to give a shout out to both of those two for who were the main focus in this clip, aside from the dog, of course.
Yeah, of course.
But
The human that was
it's
invading.
even it like we don't show a lot of track and field here, and we don't talk a lot about track and field. But hey, even in track and field, golden moments like this can happen. And you know what, dogs. You know what? It doesn't matter sometimes who wins the race. Okay, Gracie Laney won the race, but the doggo won everybody's hearts that day.
Yep, a lot of people in the state of Utah or any other states, if it were multi-state competition, I'm pretty sure just within Utah only, but still, it's quite heartwarming.
Yeah.
I wonder how she's doing these days.
So do I. Hopefully she got a scholarship to run track and field in college. And I will say this, that doggo and all heart. So shout out to the dog. All right.
Yeah.
Sports fans, I hope that warmed up the mood a little bit more. And again, that's it for this week's episode of Friday Roundtable. Special thanks to my man Tyler Lavalette for his hard work. And special thanks to everyone here at the studio in Waterford for all their great work. We could not do this without them. Thank you all.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. Follow us on Two Guys Talk Sports and other things on YouTube for more videos like this. And if you want to see us on Facebook, follow us on Two Guys Talk Sports on Facebook. We try to post as much as we can on both websites. Mm-hmm. All right, for now, we're going to let you all enjoy your weekend filled with beautiful autumn weather and sports. This is Jake Waxman.
And Tyler Lavalette.
Wishing you all a good weekend. Take care, everyone.